A pristine text provides us with a clean version of a section or book of the Bible. This allows us to read the text with less commentary, meaning fewer distractions. In this chapter, we will be looking at why we start with the ESV, learn the basics of the Copy Bible Verses tool, and create our first pristine text. To start, let's open the ESV Bible. On the command line, if we click on it and type in Open ESV and press Enter, the ESV Bible will pop up. We can make a shortcut of this so we don't always have to type it in, and the way to do that is if we click on the tab and hold, we can drag it up and let go, and now we have an ESV shortcut. If I close the ESV, I can now quickly open it here. The reason that we primarily use the ESV in this workbook, or as our starting point, is because it was the starting point of all of the tagging that Logos has done behind the text. So when I look at a word like darkness in Genesis, if I right-click on the word, I can see the manuscript, I can see the lemma, I can see all of this information that Logos has tagged to that English word that's from the original language, from the Hebrew. And in Logos, they started with the ESV. And so the reason that we're using the ESV as our primary translation is not necessarily because it's the best Bible translation. We're not saying that. It is the one that Logos used first, and so it's the one that we default to in our workbook and in most of our exercises. So now let's look at how to create a pristine text. And to do that, we need to use the Copy Bible Verses tool. To find it, click on Tools, and under Passages, we'll see Copy Bible Verses. Now we'll click on that. Now when it comes in, it's very small, and I'd like to make that tab bigger. The easiest way to do this is to click and hold and drag it, and I'm going to drag it to this space, and you'll see the areas highlighted. That's the area it's going to go into. And now when I let go, now the space is much bigger, and so we can see it easier. Under the Copy Bible Verses tool, we can do small amounts of text or big amounts of text. We can do many different options. We can copy, right now it's set to Bible text only, but we can do fully formatted. We can do one verse per line. We can do quotation. We can do all of these different things. We can create our own styles even. But for the pristine text, we just want to do Bible text only. We can also choose our translation, and we can also choose how we want it formatted. If you're a Mac user with Pages, you could format it to that. I'm going to leave it Microsoft Word for now. So we can also pick how much text we want formatted. Today we're just going to do Genesis 1 and 2. So if I type in Genesis 1 and 2, hit Enter, it will give me all of that text. Now let's say you wanted to do all of Genesis, Genesis 1 through 50. If I type in Genesis 1 through 50 and hit Enter, Logos will make it Genesis 1 through 6. That's because Genesis 1 through 50 is a very large amount of text, and it's actually hard to copy that much. What you can do is you can do Genesis 1 through 6, and you can hit Copy, and you can paste it into a Word document, come back in here, and do Genesis 7 through, and I'll do 50 again, and now it's Genesis 7 through 13. And then I'd copy, paste it into a Word document, come back and keep doing it. And so you can do a whole book, you just have to do a couple steps. But for now, let's create our pristine text, and so we're going to do Genesis 1 and 2. After typing that in, I'm just double checking. I want to make sure Bible text only. I want to make sure I know what translation it's from, ESV, Microsoft Word. Now I'm going to click Copy. Now, if I go down here and I'm going to open a Word document, you can also use other text editors for this. I have a bunch of things open in Word, so I'll just quickly close those. Now, I'm going to make a new blank document. Now I'm going to paste the files in. Now the first thing we want to do once it's in here, we want to do a couple things, but we want to first select all. You can do that by doing Edit, Select All, or in Apple it's Control A, or Apple A. And we want to make it 1.5 spacing. That just gives us a little more room to see. We also want to add a line or a number to each line. The reason we want to do this is we want to have just a way to reference when we're looking at it with other people. So, or when we're trying to figure out, I might notice something and later on I might want to come back to it. And so to do that on a Mac, it's under Layout and then Line Numbers, Continuous. I don't know where it's at on a PC, but a quick Google search will find that for you. The last thing we want to do, and this is very important, whenever you make a pristine text, you want to add a heading, and you want to say what book and what verses or what chapters. You want to just say that, but you also want to say what translation. And so I'm going to put that in there. I'm also going to center it because I think that would look nice. And I'm going to make it bold. But so now, if I save this, I now have a pristine text of Genesis 1 and 2. With pristine text available on Logos, we can look at copies of the text that are cleaner. We can also share these pristine texts with others who don't have Logos, allowing them to encounter the text in the same way. In future videos, we'll look at other tools we can use to examine the text, as well as more shortcuts to make our time in Logos more efficient.